Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. So look on the screen. This lady about to have a meltdown. Remember they were saying Trump was going to go ahead and pause the food stamps, and that was later, I believe, rescinded. So I want to have a conversation, Karen. This lady here, Becky's group. A lot of women, a lot of people, especially the women in their community, I'm seeing crying over job losses and what have you. I want to play this clip, and you got to understand looking historically at how things operate, as I said before, say again, they have systems in place. They've never really had to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. No, 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 no. See, typically they have been giving boots, new straps, and guess what? A guaranteed to work, a guaranteed to succeed roadmap. So let me play. She's having a little tantrum. Oh, she and her little boot must be broken.
Not gonna get my fucking SNAP benefits. What the do you mean? Because what the is happening? Do you understand that there are people like me who cannot work? Do you understand there are people like me who have kids who cannot eat? Do you understand there are people like me who go hungry the last week of the month just so my kids can't eat? Because SNAP benefits is all we can get. I need somebody to please tell me he's lying. I can't. What the am I gonna do?
Oh. And she slowly does a little twirl. Look. Do her little twirl. Twirl on down to the ground.
Fuck.
Becky, please stop. What am I gonna do? You cannot eat without it. You cannot eat without it, is what I was trying to say. So, listen, I understand the meltdown. I understand the meltdown, especially when you've been given that kind of setup. Oh, yeah. When you've been given that kind of setup, I get it. I get it. I get it. Now, I'm going to go ahead. I want to play this clip. So she's going in about those food stamps. She and the kids can't eat. I don't know what to tell you. Where's man? Where's Dan, the baby making man? My reaction to DJT, Donald J. Trump, taking the SNAP benefits that my kids and I live off of at 10:30 p.m. So she had her little whirlwind, did her little twirl. Said before, said again, there are systems in place, and these systems are for certain people. Okay, there are different, or should I say, there are different systems for different people. Becky and the crew, Brad, even from, they talk about welfare, but gee, what about corporate welfare? What about the banks? Like when SVP messed up, they changed the rules. Everybody knew in banking, the FDIC limit is up to $250K, but then the millionaires in California and SVP, oh my goodness, I'm not a millionaire anymore. This cannot happen. I cannot be poor. And they changed the rules. But they didn't change the rules for the Freedmen's Bank. Oh yeah, that money. And people said, well, it's a different time. It's the same thing. It's the system. So when I see a meltdown like this here, I don't get all emotional. No. This professor, and I forget his name, my sincere apologies. I'm just going to play a clip. There are systems in place, and see, a lot of people, especially of the Caucasian community, with the job losses, some of them went for the DEI. Yay! Yeah, they thought it was only for black folks, but then they were for the DEI, and then they got their wake up call. They got a knock on the door. Hey, Heather, your job is gone. Goodbye. So pretty much, again, there are systems in place, and I think it's time for people to, hey, maybe they should. Anybody, you gotta, put on the boots, strap them up tight, make something happen tonight. Do something. So there are systems in place, and when things have been handed to you or the ones before you, gee, you're on your own. You don't know what to do. Listen to the professor speak.
But it was enough to let her know that history matters.
So he's talking about history matters and a conversation about, with his daughter, again, how things operate. So let's go ahead and go back to a little history. I'm sure most of us are probably already cognizant of this information, but I want to go ahead and do a repeat, and maybe for some who didn't know. Let's talk about, again, there are what in place. I always say there are systems in place, information. So now it's going to be a good time for them to pull themselves, stop whining, stop crying, and pull yourselves up by your bootstrap because you've been getting help. Why? They've been giving you the boot, the strap, and a road mat.
Things that she sees didn't just happen.
Exactly. So things you see, it didn't just, oh, that person got bad luck. Oh, must be lazy. They're in the hood now.
A little 3-minute discussion wasn't a long conversation, right? But it was enough to let her know that history matters and that the things that she sees didn't just happen, that they're the result of certain policies. Because here's what's interesting about that area that we now like to call the ghetto. The reality is the ghetto was created, and public housing in particular was created not for poor black people. It was created for poor white people. And in fact, for the first several years of public housing, people of color couldn't even get into public housing projects. They were essentially segregated by race. Only poor white folks could even live there. And then what happened is the government created some new programs under the FHA program, the VA loan program, later on the GI Bill program, which allowed those same white folks who had been poor and struggling to leave public housing and to leave urban areas and to hustle it out to the suburbs where only we could live, or to the smaller towns where only we were going to be welcome. So what's interesting is that the hood became the hood because only people of color now were allowed to live there. White folks were literally being subsidized by the government to move to the suburbs. The white middle class, and make note of this, was built by government programs that underwrote those loans because those families could not have afforded a loan otherwise. They were able to get one because the government underwrote the loan and guaranteed the loan in case of default, but only for people of color.
No.
Only for white folks. People of color, by and large, couldn't get in on any of that.
So why are they freaking out so much? I find more of them crying in tears, whatever, than black women, than black people. So we were told to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But yet, they were given boots, straps, and a road map. So they had public housing first. We couldn't get it. What were we doing? Just stacking up with each other? Homeless, making something happen? And that's why I find it so comical. When I talk about poetic justice, talk about karma. So many of them, they were for DEI, thinking it was going to hurt us. No, affirmative action DEI primarily benefits Caucasian females. DEI, we get 4% of the jobs. 4% of the jobs. Where do you think the other 96% goes? So why are they crying and freaking out? I've been seeing some of the men crying. Literally tears. Dude, you're young. What the hell? So her with these tears and doing your little slowly twirl. I'll look at it, girl, look at you for kicks and giggles. They have been given the bootstraps and a road map. You hear what he said about the housing? They couldn't afford the houses, so the government underwrote the loans. They're going to stand by. So they've given, you look at that history. You've been given quite a bit. Why you can't make it happen, chick?
The things that she sees didn't just happen, that they're the result of certain policies. Because here's what's interesting about that area that we now like to call the ghetto. The reality is the ghetto was created, and public housing in particular was created not for poor black people. It was created for poor white people. And in fact, for the first several years of public housing, people of color couldn't even get into public housing projects. They were essentially...
So where were we? So they had it first. So I guess we're just stacking up with whoever has something, where we could go. See, there's again, there are, what I keep telling you, systems in place. That's why things are the way they are today. But maybe Zaddy's tired, so this right here, this crying routine, goodbye. You got a hell of a head start. You should have more than me. And some of us, come on now. So maybe, I don't know, I hope you're not lazy. What you been doing with your time? So we couldn't get the public housing. It's disparages in banking and real estate now, you think?
Segregated by race. Only poor white folks could even live there. And then what happened is the government created some new programs under the FHA program, the VA loan program, later on the GI Bill program, which allowed those same white folks who had been poor and struggling to leave public housing and to leave urban areas and to hustle it out to the suburbs where only we could live, or to the smaller towns where only we were going to be welcome.
So it sounds like to me somebody gave you something. Somebody gave you an opportunity. Sounds like it. So that's why you're crying. You're probably used to things being handed to you. Gave you public housing, then they find out again why someone's planning, then they find a new program. So basically it sounds like to me, unless he's just probably lying, no, that they created the middle class. They created the ghetto. And now some of the ones who everything was created for, it's time for you to pull yourselves up by your bootstraps and you up here freaking out. Why? Maybe you've been used to being handed some bootstraps and a roadmap. They created the middle class, then you should have some middle class wealth coming. I mean, where's dad and mommy? Ask them, where's that money? No excuses.
Struggling to leave public housing and to leave urban areas and to hustle it out to the.
So again, they were struggling, so that means they couldn't have made it.
Projects. They were essentially segregated by race. Only poor white folks could even live there. And then what happened is the government created some new programs under the FHA program, the VA loan program, later on the GI Bill program, which allowed those same white folks who had been poor and struggling to leave public housing and to leave urban areas and to hustle it out to the suburbs where only we could live.
So basically, they were poor and struggling. So here comes a program so you can go to the middle class area. Again, it was created. That's why it burns me so when I see in our community that we can't get along and someone tries to build and you got the TDG, the turnaround group. They just want to turn somebody down because they don't like them so stupid. I want to smack you upside your head, jump to the screen on you and just kind of pop, pop, pop. No, I'm just playing. We don't promote violence on the show. This is necessary. But anyway, why are you crying all the time? I've seen a video. I just got laid off. Girl, like you're the only one. I don't know what to do. Well, let's see. What does everybody else do? Look for another job. A, B, sit down and cry boo-hoo. Or C, just sit there looking at the screen. You might want to go with option number A. That's probably the best answer. I don't know what to do. There are systems in place. That's why things look the way they are today. When the black men get wealthy, again, think I'm blind? I already told you, readers are leaders. WG, white guardianship. Read the book on Sarah. It's an old, they got an old playbook. Only thing is, some of us are still dealing with a playbook of dust. And it's ensuring poverty. That's a must. We need to burn that book down. It needs to stop. Get it away from you. They have a playbook. So again, there are systems in place. You bet your boots. That's why someone crying that they don't understand how this happened. The systems in place have been ensuring who's on top and who's at the bottom.
Or to the smaller towns where only we were going to be welcome. So what's interesting is that the hood became the hood because only people of color now were allowed to live there. White folks were literally being subsidized by the government to move to the suburbs. The white middle class, and make note of this, was built by government.
But to everybody else, you gotta pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Is that so? Again, I gotta do a video on it. I've been so busy. Corporate welfare. I want to talk about that. That's a big welfare program. Man, remember when they built AIG? And how the heck they come to those Senate hearings? What the hell? On a private jet? You better get in coach. On our tax dollars. Corporate welfare. And then they give them the money to go ahead and get jobs. But how many jobs are for everyone? It's pretty much hiring who? The corporations are owned by who? They're going to be pretty much managed by who? And they're going to pretty much hire who? See, for some people, you need to recognize, child, their whole life has been subsidized. And we sitting up here fussing over somebody got a Section 8 or EBT card in the community. Are you, what the hell is that? They're not living like the rich and famous. Again, corporate welfare, where the hell the money's coming from? Some people, their entire lives have been subsidized. The middle class, oh, I worked my way. No, you didn't. The system is set up a certain way.
We're allowed to live there.
The system is rigged.
Allowed those same white folks who had been poor and struggling to leave public housing and to leave.
Hold on, they were allowed. So they weren't told to pick up your boots, work hard and, put your bootstraps on and work. No, it looks like they had a program. Who wouldn't take pride in it? So what if they weren't able to get on the Section 8? What if the middle class wasn't built by the system? Where would they be today? That's why it's hilarious to me. Some people have been affected by DEI. They thought it was only for the black folks, and now look up, their job is gone. Goodbye. Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
Or couldn't even get into public housing projects. They were essentially segregated by race. Only poor white folks could even live there. And then what happened is the government created some new programs under the FHA program, the VA loan program, later on the GI Bill program, which allowed those same white folks who had been poor and struggling to leave public housing and to leave urban areas and to hustle it out to the suburbs where only we could live, or to the smaller towns where only we were going to be welcome. So what's interesting is that the hood became the hood because only people of color now were allowed to live there. White folks were literally being subsidized by the government to move to the suburbs. The white middle class, and make note of this, was built by government programs that underwrote those loans because those families could not have afforded a loan otherwise. They were able to get one because the government underwrote the loan and guaranteed the loan in case of default, but only for people of color. Only for white folks. People of color, by and large, couldn't get in on any of that. So white folks were able to move, people of color were not. Certain neighborhoods deteriorated economically, other neighborhoods went up in value. At the very same time, the government was doing what they called urban renewal, which meant they came through black neighborhoods and Latino neighborhoods, and they built interstates right through the heart of the community, right? Knocking down black homes, black apartments, knocking down black-owned businesses all around the country. Between 1950 and 1970, about 1 in 5 apartments or houses lived in by black folks was knocked to the ground for economic development purposes, even though people of color couldn't benefit from almost any of that economic development. So that's how our communities come to look the way they look. But
we don't talk about that. So you on this screen, I'm going to need you to stop whining. Maybe for once in your life, because I'm kind of, given the setup of things, kind of thinking you're not that girl. Maybe for once in your life, maybe she should try to pull herself up by her bootstraps. You can't go get a job, a part-time job. What you doing all day? Me and my kids live off of. Oh, Becky Boo. What you gonna do? I'm not really concerned, girl. So yeah, so I'm like, all this crying. Okay, you lost the job, like you're the first one. Oh, but I gotta, my spidey senses are tingling. Don't forget, I forget. Yeah, the system is different how it works for you. You've been given boots, some bootstraps, and a road map. It's all set up for you, and now all of a sudden, what am I supposed to do? I'm like, what the hell? I'm looking at my video. What the hell are you supposed to do? You lost one job. Go get your unemployment benefits if you can, and get your resume up and look for the second job. That's what you do. It's not rocket science. You sit in your car crying. What are you supposed to do? What you think, girl? So I thought about it. Why are they crying? I mean, I have seen literal tears on TikTok. Why are you crying? I get it. Because you've been given the boots, the bootstraps, and a guaranteed robot. Okay, I'm going to put you over here in Section 8. Okay, y'all, you got to do is boogie boogie over there. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and build a middle class America, and you're going to boogie boogie over there. You've been given that roadmap, and it's been working. Now, all of a sudden, you're on your own. What do I do? And you're crying. Life is hard. Join the club. And for you, lady on the screen, honey, I don't have any sympathy for you. Go figure it out. Again, I thought about that. I'm like, they got tears going on. Oh, but I get it. I understand. You'll do that when you've been given the boots and the straps, and you've been given a roadmap. It's working for you. And then things happen. You should have procrastinated. What do I do? I don't want to do that. My goodness, my toe stamps. And then they want to holler about DEI. I am loving it. This is hilarious. They just thought it was going to affect us and black people, black women. Oh, it's affecting veterans. Unfortunately, it's even affecting the handicapped. See, but automatically they think, oh, it's gonna them. No more diversity. Oh yeah, yeah, they're gonna be out. And now look, ooh, when karma shows up, I guess maybe you didn't get a full understanding of what it was. DEI? Are you kidding? Most of those jobs go to white women. That's been reported. DEI, it affects the elderly. It affects people that are disabled. I mean, seriously. Diversity and inclusion. Sadly, it affects the disabled people, veterans, females. A lot of people are learning the hard way. People that were older, veterans, got job letters of a job offers. Guess what? Been rescinded. Job is no more, and they were counting on it. But I'm older and I'm white. Yeah, DEI has told your job goodbye. So some people, like I said, I understand they're on the screen, crying. Oh, they're crying boo-hoo. Don't forget, some have been given boots, new bootstraps, and a guaranteed roadmap. So stop all that boo-hoo and decide what you're going to do. Thanks for watching. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and share, and I'm out.